I approach it by writing an outline first. Like I said, I think it's extremely important to have step-by-step what it is that you're going to say. First, it's important to start with a thesis, especially if it's, if it's an academic assignment, and it's important to have the argument already laid out beforehand. And then to go step by step, having a logical progression, a logical flow between paragraphs. I think it's important to start that way so that you can avoid losing yourself in both the language and the complexity of the argument that you're trying to make. I would say know what it is you want to say beforehand. Know who your audience is, know who it is that you're addressing, and also know what the limits of the length are. What is the extension? It's important to have these things, to know these things in advance, because it gives you sort of the structure, the way that you're going to move through your essay, through your document. I think it's important, like I said, to have it laid out beforehand, to go step by step, and to have kind of a logical thread that holds everything together. It should be coherent, and it should not also be repetitive. So it's important to make sure that your main idea is composed of about 3 blocks or 3 main ideas that are different but are also logically connected.
Depends on the length of the project. I would say a few days sooner than I would start it if it was an English paper. English papers, normally once you get good at formulating a thesis and the arguments for it, then you can do it in a couple of days. But if it's a paper in your foreign language, then you need to leave enough time to edit for grammar, definitely. I think I start off normally in the same way that I would in English, building kind of, tree with umbrella terms, and then going off, okay, well, if this is going to be my focus, what ways can I discuss that more in depth? And definitely just writing a quick outline for yourself, even if you don't have to turn one into the class, helps you to get your ideas in order. So it's basically the same way I would in English, just leaving more time in between everything to make sure that I have it in proper German.
First of all, I'll try to, I haven't always done this, but it's magnificent when you do it. I actually have an outline of how I'm going to, what I'm going to talk about. So, I'll write an outline first with, topics, talking points about the topic and things I want to, my arguments and things, and then I can add in little details underneath each one. So that way, if you've got sort of an outline, an idea, you're not just starting and have no idea where you're going to go. Because if you don't know where you're going to go when you start, you're not going to know where you're going to go throughout the entire paper, and you're just going to ramble. So that way, if you have an idea to go from a sort of roadmap where you're going, then your paper will sound that way. It'll sound more coherent.
So as I said, the first part is to think about the topic and make sure that I understand the topic and that I can relate it to the content of the class, and then I go back to my notes, the class notes, and the notes I write while I'm reading, and I pick up the relevant notes. So I write those notes, obviously modifying them a little bit so they go with my essay, and I write them in my document. And after that, which I call editing process happens. For me, editing is not only reading the final draft and catching spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes, but actually trying to copy, paste, and see what I have to take off, what I have to add, if that example is relevant, if it's not.